The night was calm, almost too calm for a world that was about to fall. Commander Eric Hayes stood on the balcony of the Global Defense Tower, watching the glowing city below. People moved like small streams of light. Cars rushed across sky bridges. Tall towers touched the clouds. To Eric, everything looked peaceful. Too peaceful. He felt something wrong in the air, like a quiet warning he could not explain. He turned to leave, but the sky answered before he could take a single step. A loud, deep rumble spread across the horizon. The stars began to vanish one by one, covered by a growing shadow. At first, people thought it was a strange cloud. But clouds did not move like this. Clouds did not make the ground shake. Clouds did not block the moon in a perfect circle. Eric's eyes widened. "It's a ship," he whispered. The shadow grew bigger, darker, heavier, until it covered the entire sky above the capital. The city lights flickered. Screens went black. Every device shut down at the same time. The silence that followed felt wrong, like the world itself had stopped breathing. Then the first pulse hit. A wave of white light exploded from the dark shape above, spreading across the land in a perfect ring. Buildings trembled. Streets cracked. Every satellite orbiting Earth went blind in an instant. The world fell into chaos within seconds. Eric grabbed the railing as the shockwave passed through his body. It felt cold, sharp, almost alive. He had never felt anything like it. This was not a normal attack. This was something ancient, something meant to break more than buildings. People screamed below as cars lost control and crashed. Power grids failed. Towers shut down. The city went dark, except for small fires burning in the distance. And then a voice echoed across the sky. It was not a human voice. It was deeper, twisted, layered with a cold power that felt older than anything Eric had ever known. "Humanity, your time is over." The dark shape in the sky unfolded like a giant metal flower. Hundreds of smaller ships shot out from its center, spreading across the land like a swarm. Each one fired beams of blue light that cut through buildings and streets. Explosions painted the sky red. People ran. Soldiers fell. Defense towers were destroyed before they could fight back. Eric forced himself to move. He raced down the stairwell and reached the bunker entrance just as another blast hit the tower. The ground shook so hard he fell to his knees, but he pushed himself up and dove inside the bunker. The heavy metal door slammed shut behind him. Inside, alarms flashed red. Scientists, soldiers, engineers, everyone in the bunker was panicking. "What is happening?" someone shouted. Eric answered with a voice stronger than he felt. "They're here. Something powerful. Something not from this world." A young engineer checked a console. His face turned pale. "All data is gone. All history archives, communication lines, maps, everything is wiped." Eric froze. This was not an attack. This was erasure. Something wanted humanity to disappear from memory. Another blast shook the bunker. Dust fell from the ceiling. A siren screamed. The chief scientist, Dr. Rana, ran forward and grabbed Eric's arm. "There is one place they cannot reach," she said. "The underground vault. The last untouched archive." Eric nodded. "We move now." The group ran through long tunnels. Lights flickered above them. Explosions echoed through the metal walls. Each step felt like a race against the end of the world. They reached a huge round door with a glowing lock. Dr. Rana entered a code only she knew. The door opened with a heavy hiss. Inside was a silent chamber filled with stored data, old weapons, and survival equipment. But Eric noticed something more. People hiding. Pilots, engineers, young soldiers, and one girl who did not look afraid. She stepped forward. "My name is Lira," she said. "I know who they are." Everyone looked at her in shock. "You know them?" Eric asked. She nodded slowly. "They are called the Vorn. They do not conquer worlds. They erase them. They destroy history, memories, leaders. They want humans alive but empty, without identity." Eric felt cold inside. "Why us?" "Because humans resist," Lira said. "More than any other race." A deep explosion shook the entire vault. Dust fell from the high ceiling. The power lights flickered. Dr. Rana quickly opened a second passage. There is an escape ship hidden deeper, she said. A small one. But it can leave Earth. Eric looked at the group. If we stay, humanity ends tonight. If we leave, we can fight. Another crash echoed above them, closer this time. Eric led the group through narrow metal tunnels until they reached a hidden launch chamber. In the center stood a small, old emergency ship covered in dust but still intact. We take this, Eric said. We escape. We plan. We strike back. The group hurried inside as the ground shook again. The engines turned on with a roar. Eric took the pilot's seat, gripping the controls tightly. The ship blasted upward through collapsing tunnels, through a cracked old hangar, and finally through the burning sky. As they rose above the clouds, the world below looked broken, covered by Vorn ships. The blue oceans glowed under alien shadows. The cities burned like dying candles. Eric felt something inside him change. They tried to erase us, he whispered. Lira looked at him. But they failed, she said. Eric stared at the enemy ships filling the sky. Now, he said, we show them what humans do when pushed into the dark. The ship flew into space, carrying the last spark of humanity, and the beginning of revenge. The emergency ship moved through the cold dark of space, leaving a broken Earth behind. Inside, the survivors sat in silence. Some cried softly. Others stared at the floor, unable to understand how their world vanished in a single night. Commander Eric Hayes kept his eyes forward. He knew fear was behind him, but responsibility was in front. He had people to protect now. People who trusted him even when the sky had fallen. Lira sat in the seat beside him. Her calmness was strange. Most humans would shake or scream after seeing their planet attacked. But she watched the stars like she had seen this before. Eric finally asked, "How do you know the Vorn?" She looked at him with steady eyes. "Because I lived in one of their research centers," she said. "Not as a prisoner, but as an experiment." The ship went silent. Every survivor turned toward her. Eric felt a chill. "You're telling us you were tested by them?" Lira nodded. "They study species before they erase them. They watched humans for many years. They feared something in us. Something they could not control." Eric understood. "Our will." "Yes," she said quietly. "They fear the human spirit." Before Eric could ask more, the ship's console flashed with a red alarm. "Warning. Low fuel. Distance remaining. 14,000 kilometers." Pilot Jace stepped forward. "Commander, we don't have enough fuel to reach the nearest colony. We need a place to land." Eric scanned the map. Most stations were destroyed or overtaken by the Vorn. But then he noticed a tiny blinking dot behind a dead moon. "What is that?" he asked. Dr. Rana checked the logs. "That is Station 47. It was shut down years ago. No one has used it since." Eric made his decision. "We go there." The ship curved through space, heading toward a cold moon with a dark shape hidden behind it. From a distance, Station 47 looked abandoned, silent, lonely, forgotten. But as they got closer, something felt different. The doors opened automatically. Lights turned on by themselves, as if the station had been waiting for them. The ship landed with a heavy thud. The survivors stepped out into a long, quiet hallway covered in dust. Signs hung crooked on the walls. Old screens flickered weakly, showing codes that no one could read. Jace whispered, "This place feels haunted." Eric ignored the feeling and moved deeper inside. Lira followed closely, her eyes sharp, scanning every shadow. They reached a massive metal door with the words, "Project Havoc. Access restricted." Dr. Rana gasped. This was a secret program. Even I never saw its files. Eric touched the door. It opened slowly with a loud metallic groan. And there it was. A giant warship. Sleeping in the dark. Long, sharp wings folded beside a massive armored body. Weapons the survivors had never seen before were locked along its sides. The ship looked ancient but powerful, like a beast waiting for someone to wake it. Jace stepped forward in awe. "What kind of ship is this?" Dr. Rana answered quietly. "This is a weapon built to fight alien empires. It was never finished." The project was shut down after the government decided the threat was too far away. Eric walked around the ship. His hand touched its cold metal surface. "It doesn't look unfinished," he said. "It looks ready." Suddenly, the lights in the bay flickered. A rumbling sound filled the air. The giant ship came to life. Engines hummed. Blue lines lit up across its surface. The entire station shook. A voice echoed through the chamber. Deep, calm, and strangely human. "Commander Eric Hayes. Authorization accepted. Welcome back." Everyone froze. Eric stepped forward. "Who are you?" "I am the core program of this vessel," the voice said. "You are the highest surviving commander in my records. I await your order." Dr. Rana whispered, trembling. "It recognizes you." Eric swallowed hard. "This ship knew I would come?" "No," the voice responded. "But it knew humanity would need me one day." The survivors stared at Eric. For the first time since the attack, a faint spark of hope lit inside their eyes. Lira stepped closer to the ship, examining its glowing lines. "The Vorn do not know this exists," she said. "This ship could be your only chance." Eric nodded. "And we will use it." But before he could say more, a loud alarm blared across the station. "Incoming signal detected." Jace ran to a console. "Commander, enemy ships. The Vorn found us." Eric looked at the glowing warship. "We need to get inside. Now." The group rushed aboard as the station lights dimmed. Doors locked behind them. The ship's control room lit up with bright blue screens and smooth metal panels. Eric stood at the main console. "Can you fly?" he asked the ship. "Yes," the voice replied. "But I require your command." Eric took a deep breath. "Then wake up. We fight today." The engines roared. The entire station shook as the warship lifted from its cradle. Outside, Vorn cruisers approached fast, their weapons glowing bright. Lira looked at Eric. "They will destroy this station. We must leave." Eric nodded. "Then let's show them what humans build when no one is watching." The ship shot out of the station with incredible speed. Alarms echoed through space. The Vorn opened fire. And humanity's counterstrike had finally begun. The warship roared into open space like a beast finally released from chains. Inside, the survivors held onto the metal rails as the ship twisted sharply to avoid the first blast from the Vorn cruisers. Blue fire streaked past the windows, shaking the entire vessel. Commander Eric Hayes stood firmly at the command platform. "Status," he shouted. Jace scanned the glowing screens. "Shields at 60%. We can't take many hits, Commander. This ship is strong, but the systems are still waking up." Lira stared at the approaching Vorn ships, her face pale but steady. "They will not stop. Once they see survivors, they hunt until everything is erased." Eric clenched his jaw. "Not today." The warship's deep voice echoed across the control room. "Commander, I detect 3 Vorn cruisers. They are targeting us. Recommend immediate counterattack." Dr. Rana looked shocked. "Counterattack? But the ship isn't fully ready." Eric turned to her. "Ready or not, we fight. If we run, they will track us. If we hide, they will find us. But if we hit them hard, right now, they will learn something new." He faced the front window. "Humans don't disappear quietly." The ship lights brightened, almost as if the vessel agreed. "Select weapons," Eric ordered. A glowing panel opened. Inside was a single weapon marked Graviton Lance. Prototype. Warning. Unstable. Jace swallowed. That thing was never tested. Eric placed his hand on the control. "It will be tested today." Lira stepped forward. "Commander, the Vorn do not expect resistance. A single strong hit will confuse them." "Then let's confuse them," Eric said. The ship lined up with the nearest Vorn cruiser. It was a massive vessel with dark plates and glowing blue symbols across its hull. The Vorn did not fear anything. Their ships always moved straight and confident, without hesitation. Eric felt his heart beat hard in his chest. "Charge the Graviton Lance," he said. The room shook as energy built inside the weapon. Blue sparks crawled across the walls. Energy levels rising, the ship announced. 50%, 60, 70. Jace stared at the numbers. Commander, if it overloads. It won't, Eric said quietly. It can't. Outside, the Vorn cruiser aimed a massive beam at them. The blue light gathered at its front cannons. Lira whispered, "They think we are weak." Eric whispered back, "They're wrong." Energy level 90%, the ship announced. Firing ability available. "Do it," Eric commanded. The warship released a blinding white-blue beam. It wasn't loud. It didn't explode outward. Instead, it moved like a silent wave, bending the space around it. The beam hit the Vorn cruiser straight in the center. For a moment, nothing. Then the entire cruiser twisted like it was made of liquid, bent inward, and vanished into a small bright circle, which collapsed into nothing. The Vorn ship was gone. Not destroyed. Erased. The survivors stared in total shock. Dr. Rana covered her mouth. That shouldn't even be possible. Jace whispered, "We just wiped out a cruiser with one hit." Lira watched quietly. The Vorn have a weapon called the memory burn. But humans have something else. Something they never studied. Eric breathed slowly. Hope. But there was no time to celebrate. The other two Vorn cruisers froze for only a moment before changing formation. Their hulls glowed red, the color they used when switching to full destruction mode. "They are angry," Lira warned. "They will not hold back now." Eric nodded. "Then neither will we." The warship's voice spoke again. "Commander, the graviton lance must cool down. I cannot fire it again yet." Jace shouted, "Incoming!" Blue beams hit the warship's shields. The ship rattled violently. Sparks fell from the ceiling. Screens flickered. Shields at 40%. Eric made a quick decision. "We go on the offensive. Full speed." The warship surged forward like a predator. It dodged one beam, then another. Eric guided it straight between the two cruisers. "Jace, give me cannons," Eric ordered. The side cannons fired bursts of yellow energy. They hit the first cruiser's wing, breaking a large chunk of metal away. The cruiser spun slightly but recovered. "Commander!" Dr. Rana shouted. "The second cruiser is circling behind us." "Then we change directions," Eric said. He gripped the control sphere and twisted sharply. The warship flipped in a tight arc, surprising the Vorn vessel. It fired too late. Eric smiled for the first time since Earth fell. The warship slid under the cruiser, passed through its blind spot, and Jace fired another cannon shot. The cruiser erupted in flames. "One left," he shouted. But the last cruiser was the largest. Its front cannon glowed bright red. It was charging a massive shot meant to destroy planets, not ships. Lyra's eyes widened. "That weapon will erase us." Eric took position. "Ship, give me everything we have." "Commander," the ship warned. "The graviton lance is 50% cooled." "Not ready." "We don't need it," Eric said quietly. "What do we use?" Jace asked. Eric stared at the red glow growing in the Vorn's weapon. "Our will." He aimed the warship straight at the cruiser. Full speed, head on. The cruiser fired. A red beam shot toward them. Eric pushed their ship sideways, scraping the beam but dodging most of it. Sparks exploded across the control room. "Now!" Eric ordered. Jace fired every cannon they had. The blasts hit the cruiser's weapon core. The red glow flickered again, and then exploded. The cruiser tore apart in a burning chain reaction. Silence filled the warship. No more enemy signals. They had won. Eric stood tall. "For the first time," he said, "the Vorn will fear something." Lira finished his sentence softly. "Humans." The warship drifted forward, victorious. No longer helpless. No longer forgotten. This was humanity's first strike, and the galaxy would never forget it. The stars felt different after victory. The survivors on the warship stood a little straighter, breathed a little deeper. For the first time since Earth fell, they felt something warm inside their chests. "Oh," But hope was not safety. Commander Eric Hayes knew that too well. The Vorn would not forget what happened today. They had lost 3 cruisers, something that had never happened in centuries. Their empire would come looking, and they would come hard. But Eric had no time to think about that now. There was a mission ahead. And it started with a silent distress signal drifting through deep space. Jace checked the screen. Commander, the signal is old. It keeps repeating every 6 minutes. It's coming from the ruins of a destroyed colony. Dr. Rana zoomed into the map. That colony was attacked more than 100 years ago. Eric looked at the blinking dot. If someone is still alive after a century, we find them. Lira stood beside him. Not someone. Something. The Vorn destroy all living things. But they do not always destroy machines. Eric nodded. Then let's see what survived. The warship changed course. The stars shifted. The journey through dark space took hours. Then a day. The deeper they traveled, the colder the universe felt. Finally, the ruined colony appeared on the front window. It floated like a broken scar on the edge of a dead system. Cracked buildings. Burned ships. Dust drifting in slow motion. A graveyard of a forgotten world. Jace whispered, "Commander, this place feels wrong." Eric answered calmly, "It feels like Earth will feel if we fail." The ship landed quietly on a cracked landing platform. Lights flickered. Silence wrapped around them like a heavy cloak. The survivors walked carefully through the ruins, weapons in hand. Every building was shattered. Every street was covered in dust. No plants, no animals, no wind. Just silence. Lira scanned the ground. The Vorn did this. The marks are the same. Precision beams. No mistakes. But why leave the ruins? Dr. Rana asked. Lira's voice was cold. To warn others. As they moved deeper into the colony, they heard a soft metallic sound, like gears moving. Eric raised his hand. Hold position. They waited. The sound grew closer. Then something stepped out of the shadows. A tall, thin figure made of metal and glowing wires. Its eyes were bright circles of white light. It did not raise a weapon. It simply stared at them. Jace aimed his rifle. "Commander, what is that thing?" The metal figure spoke in a low, echoing voice. "Are you human?" Eric stepped forward. "Yes." The machine lowered its head slowly. "At last, survivors." Lira whispered. "It's an archive guardian. Many old worlds used them. They protect history." Eric asked carefully, "Who are you?" "My name is Kale," the machine said. "I am the last guardian of this colony. I have waited 113 years for someone to hear my signal." Eric felt a heavy sadness in the air. What happened here? Kale's eyes dimmed, as if remembering pain. The Vorn came without warning. They erased my people. Children, elders, soldiers, leaders. All gone in hours. I was made to store our memory, so they left me to rust. Dr. Rana spoke softly. "You survived because you are metal." Kale nodded. "Yes, but I am not alive. I only remain." Eric looked around the ruins. Why send a distress signal for a century? Kale answered with a voice that almost sounded emotional. Because someone had to warn the galaxy. The Vorn did not attack Earth first. Humanity is not the beginning. You are the last. Silence fell. Eric felt his heart tighten. The last. Kale stepped closer. They destroyed us. They destroyed others before us. The Vorn aimed to erase every thinking race in this galaxy. One by one. Lira looked at Eric. This is why they attacked Earth so fast. They want no species left that can stand against them. Kale finally said. And now that you have survived their attack, they will hunt you even harder. Jace shook his head. So it's hopeless? Kale's eyes brightened. No, not hopeless. The Vorn grow confident when they erase a world. They leave clues behind. They leave mistakes. Eric stepped toward him. Can you help us fight them? Kale bowed his head. My people had secret knowledge. Maps of Vorn bases. Records of their old weaknesses. Their empire is not perfect. They can be stopped. Eric smiled slightly. Then join us. Kale looked at the survivors, then at the forgotten ruins of his people. My world is gone, but yours can still be saved. If you fight, I will fight with you. Lira placed her hand on Kale's arm. You are not alone now. Kale's eyes glowed brighter. Then let us begin. Eric raised his voice. Everyone back to the ship. We have a new mission, and a new ally. As they boarded the warship again, Eric looked at the ruins one last time. He thought of Earth, burning under the Vorn's shadow. He made a promise in his heart. This would not happen again. Not to any world. Not to any species. The warship lifted off, leaving the silent colony behind. But they were not the same anymore. They now carried more than hope. They carried history. And with history came a new truth. Humanity was not fighting alone. Humanity was fighting for everyone. The Exile Fleet moved through the dark space like wounded giants. Their engines were old, their metal bodies scratched by years of escape and survival. But inside those ships, thousands of humans were awake and angry. They had lost their world, but they had not lost their spirit. Commander Rylan stood on the bridge of the flagship Vigilant Star. His eyes were fixed on the holographic star map that showed their new target. The Heliox border defense line, the first wall of protection around the Heliox Empire. If the humans wanted their revenge, this was where it had to begin. But Rylan knew something else. This battle would not only be about revenge. This battle would show the galaxy that humanity was not dead. Behind him, Commander Lira entered the bridge, her steps sharp and confident. The fleet is ready, she said. All ships report full launch status. Rylan nodded. Good. Tell them this is not an attack of anger. This is a message. Lira raised an eyebrow. A message to who? To everyone who thought we were erased. Lira smiled. Then let's say it loudly. The crew felt the shift inside the ship as the engines powered to full strength. For many of them, this was their first real fight. For others, it was the one they had been waiting for since the day the Heliox tried to erase their species. In the lower deck, young engineer Jace checked the reactor lines. His hands shook, not from fear, but from anticipation. He had grown up hearing stories of Earth, its blue oceans, its open skies, its forests. He had never seen them, but he wanted justice for them. Dr. Mira, the oldest member of the fleet, walked through the hallway, placing her hand on the shoulders of nervous crew members. You fight for those who couldn't escape, she whispered. You fight so those memories don't die. Every soldier stood taller after hearing her words. Meanwhile, the scouts at the front of the fleet sent a coded message to the bridge. Commander, we have visual on the Heliox border guard towers, an officer said. 15 towers. Heavy guns. Patrol ships. Rylan breathed out slowly. Just as expected. The Heliox border looked peaceful from a distance. Large floating towers formed a circle, glowing with golden energy. But Rylan knew the truth. Those towers were built to trap, destroy, and erase. Lira looked at him. If we attack, they will call for reinforcements. We might face the full Heliox navy within minutes. Rylan replied, then we finish the job before they arrive. He pressed the comms button. All ships, this is Commander Rylan. Today we reclaim our fear. Today we step from the shadows. You are the last humans. Stand proud, and let the galaxy see your fire. The reply came not in words, but in the thunder of engines. The Exile Fleet surged forward. The first shot came from Vigilant Star. A bright blue beam cut through the darkness and struck the nearest border tower. The golden walls flickered. The tower trembled. Heliox commanders inside it panicked. Intruders detected. Impossible! No fleet is registered in this sector. Identify them now. It's humans. The word hit them like a storm. The Heliox believed humans were gone forever. Their files, their history, their existence, all deleted. They had never imagined survivors would return. And they had never imagined those survivors would fight back. The Exile Fleet opened full fire. Dozens of beams lit the dark space. The border towers returned fire, but they were too slow. The humans had trained for this day for years. Lira called out, "2 towers down. 3rd tower collapsing." Rylan answered, "Push forward. Don't give them time to think." The Heliox patrol ships moved in. Sleek, silver, and fast. But humans fought like they were fighting for their lives, because they were. Jace's engineering team redirected power to the shield generators. Dr. Mira helped injured soldiers regain their strength. Soldier teams boarded enemy ships with fearless precision. Every part of the fleet moved like a single heartbeat. The battle felt like chaos, but beneath it was years of fury and pain. The sound of explosions filled the comms. The golden towers cracked, burned, and fell into silence. Within minutes, 11 towers were destroyed. The remaining 4 tried to retreat, but Rylan raised his hand. "No mercy," he said quietly. "They didn't show any to our world." The fleet fired together. The last tower exploded into dust. Silence filled the bridge for a moment. Then a sudden alert flashed on the screen. "Commander!" Lira shouted. "We have intercepted a Heliox high-priority message." Rylan stepped closer. "What does it say?" Lira read it aloud. Emergency code read, "Humans still exist. Mobilize entire fleet. Prepare for full war." The message spread across the Heliox Empire like lightning. And Rylan knew exactly what it meant. Their attack had succeeded. Their message was delivered. But now, the galaxy would come for them. He looked at Lira and said, "This was only the beginning." The destruction of the Heliox border line spread across the Empire like a shockwave. Signals flashed through their communication towers, alarms blared in their war stations, and command ships lit up with emergency lights. For centuries, the Heliox believed humans were finished. They believed the last survivors had disappeared into the dark, never to rise again. But now, the impossible had happened. Humanity had returned, and humanity had struck first. Inside the Heliox capital ship Imperial Gaze, High Commander Vale watched the recordings of the destroyed border towers. His 4 golden eyes narrowed. He played the footage again and again, every time feeling a deeper anger. "Humans," he whispered. "The ghosts we erased." Beside him, Advisor Threx trembled. "My lord, this is a direct attack. A declaration of war." Vale turned slowly. "War? No. This is revenge. They want us to fear them." Threx nodded nervously. "Then should we send the frontline fleet?" Vale smiled, a cold, cruel smile. "Not just the frontline. Send the full Imperial Armada." Across the Heliox Empire, war drums awakened. Meanwhile, the Exile Fleet drifted in a quiet star field, recovering after the battle. Smoke vents hissed across damaged ships. Engineers patched holes. Medics treated wounded fighters. But the mood across the fleet was not fear. It was focus. They knew the Heliox would come. They knew the Empire would respond with everything it had. But for the first time in generations, humans were fighting with hope, not just survival. Commander Rylan stood with Lira inside the strategy chamber. A hologram of the galaxy rotated above the table, glowing blue. Red dots appeared. Heliox fleets moving fast. "Look at that," Lira said, pointing at the map. 3 fleets from the east. 2 from the north. 1 from deep core space. They're all coming straight toward us. Rylan exhaled slowly. "Good. Let them come." Lira shot him a look. "Good. Rylan, this is the entire Empire." "That means we don't have to chase them," he replied. "They're coming to us." Lira remained silent for a moment. Then she nodded. "And we make our stand here?" "No," Rylan said. "We don't stand. We move." He pressed a button, switching the map to show a large rotating star system with a single blue planet. Lira's eyes widened. "Rylan, is that?" "Yes," he said quietly. "The lost world. Humanity's hidden sanctuary. Their backup. Their only secret. A place the Heliox never found. A place where humans could prepare their biggest weapon." Lira whispered, "If the Heliox reach that system, everything is over." Rylan nodded. "Exactly why we won't let them." On the lower deck, Jace checked the power readings for the fleet's fastest ships. His hands were black with engine grease. His mind stayed sharp. "We need maximum output," he told his team. "This might be our last jump." One of the younger engineers asked, "Do you think we can win?" Jace paused. A small smile appeared on his tired face. "We survived the end of our world," he said. "Winning is easier than that." The team nodded and went back to work. Dr. Mira stood in the medical bay, watching over the injured soldiers. She held an old earth pendant, a small symbol of the home they had lost. It was all she had left. A young medic approached her. "Doctor, will we make it out of the next battle?" Mira looked at her with calm, strong eyes. "We do not fight to escape," she said. "We fight to finish what they started." The medic nodded, comforted by her confidence. Back on the Heliox flagship, High Commander Vale stood before thousands of soldiers. Their armor glowed gold. Their weapons hummed with deadly power. This army was known in the galaxy as the Empire's Fist, the strongest war force ever created. Vale raised his hand. "Humans dare to return. They dare to challenge us. They dare to strike our borders." The soldiers growled. They believe they can rise again. They believe we fear them. Vale's voice deepened. "Show them we do not fear ghosts." A roar filled the ship. The Heliox Armada moved like a golden storm across the stars. When the Exile Fleet prepared for jump, Lira looked at Rylan with a serious face. "Once we move, there is no going back." Rylan nodded slowly. "There never was." "All ships," Lira shouted over the comms. "Prepare for light jump." Engines glowed bright blue. Power surged through the ships. The fleet lined up, pointed toward the secret system, the last home of humanity. Rylan gave the final order. "Jump!" The fleet vanished into a flash of light. Seconds after they disappeared, the first Heliox Armada arrived at the empty battlefield. Vale stared at the empty space where the humans had been. "They escaped," Threx whispered. Vale didn't blink. "No. They are running to something." He pointed forward. "Follow them. And prepare for the final blow." The galaxy shifted. The chase for the last humans had begun. And both sides knew the final war was coming. The Exile Fleet shot out of the jump tunnel and entered the hidden star system. A bright blue sun shone at the center, lighting up the quiet planets around it. For a moment, it felt peaceful. Too peaceful. But everyone knew peace would not last. At the far edge of the system floated a single blue and silver planet. Haven 12. Humanity's secret world. No cities. No signals. No signs of life from space. It looked empty. But it wasn't. Deep underground, thousands of humans lived, trained, and waited. This was the place where the last children of Earth were raised. This was the place where the final weapon was built. Commander Rylan stared at the planet with a heavy heart. "If Haven falls," he said, "then our species falls." Lira nodded beside him. "Then Haven will not fall." Around them, the crew felt the same fire. They had fought too hard to lose now. But the comm shattered. A sudden alert filled the bridge. "Commander!" an officer yelled. Multiple warp signatures detected. Rylan already knew who it was. The Heliox Armada. On the main screen, golden flashes appeared one after another. The Heliox war fleet dropped out of warp like a storm hitting the system. Massive command ships, hunter cruisers, and thousands of drones filled the dark. Lira swallowed hard. They brought everything. Rylan's voice remained steady. "Then we fight with everything." On the Heliox flagship Imperial Gaze, High Commander Vale watched the humans' tiny fleet ahead of him. His golden eyes gleamed with ruthless confidence. "Humanity ends here," he said. His officers hissed in agreement. "Prepare the Imperial cannon. Target their flagship." Back on the Vigilant Star, Lira received the sensor readings. "Commander, they're charging their superweapon." Rylan didn't flinch. "Then we hit them first." He opened the fleet-wide channel. "All human ships, this is our last stand. Fight smart, fight strong, and fight for those who never got the chance." 1,000 human voices answered. For Earth, the battle began. Laser fire lit the sky like a storm of shooting stars. Human fighters darted between enemy cruisers, striking fast and disappearing into shadows. Heliox drones swarmed like golden insects, firing endless beams. The Exile Fleet fought with everything they had. Jace's engineering team pushed the engines beyond safe limits. Energy shields glowed red as they absorbed hit after hit. Dr. Mira moved through the medical bay like a ghost, treating wounded soldiers without rest. The Vigilant Star fired its cannons at the nearest Heliox destroyer, breaking through its armor and sending it drifting into the star's light. But for every Heliox ship destroyed, 2 more appeared. Lira shouted, "We can't hold this line forever." Rylan replied, "We don't need forever." He pointed at Haven 12. "We only need long enough." Lira understood immediately. "Activate the core pulse?" she asked. Rylan nodded once. "It's our last card." Hidden deep beneath Haven's surface, humans guarded a massive machine, a sphere of blue energy connected to giant rings. The core pulse. It was built from old Earth technology mixed with new discoveries. A weapon not of destruction, but of disruption. It could release a burst strong enough to shut down every Heliox system in the entire star system for 1 minute. 1 minute. That was all the humans needed. Lira sent the activation code. The planet began to glow. The Heliox noticed. An officer shouted on Vale's bridge, "Unknown energy spiked from the planet." Vale looked sharply at the readings. "What are they doing?" Before anyone could answer, the core pulse fired. A shockwave of blue energy rushed outward like a silent storm. It hit Heliox ships first. Their engines shut down. Their weapons froze. Their lights flickered. Thousands of enemy ships stopped moving completely. The humans moved instantly. "All ships forward," Rylan commanded. The Exile Fleet flew through the frozen enemy line like a knife through armor. Fighters tore apart disabled drones. Cannons blasted motionless cruisers. Boarding teams stormed stunned ships, taking them one by one. The humans attacked with the fury of a lost world. But the pulse lasted only 1 minute. And when that minute ended, the Heliox woke up angry. The enemy ships powered back on with a wave of golden fire. The sky turned violent again. Vale roared, "Fire the Imperial cannon!" A massive golden beam charged at the front of the flagship. On the human side, alarms screamed. "They're aiming at us!" Lira shouted. Rylan looked at the crew. He saw no fear, only resolve. "Prepare counter-fire," he said. "Even if we fall, they will not touch Haven." The Imperial cannon fired. A blinding golden beam shot across space. Rylan gave the final order. "All ships, shield the planet." The entire Exile Fleet shifted position, forming a human shield in front of Haven 12. The Heliox beam struck them. The shockwave broke ships apart. Human cruisers exploded. Fighters burned. Lights went out across the fleet. The Vigilant Star trembled violently. Panels blew apart. Sparks flew. Lira held onto the control bar. "Rylan, the ship can't take another hit." But Rylan wasn't looking at the damage. He was looking at the enemy flagship. "It's time," he whispered. He pointed at the last remaining weapon, the Starlance, a spear-shaped supercannon built to fire only once. "Target the Imperial gaze." Lyra's eyes widened. "If we fire it, the ship will blow with it." Rylan nodded. "Humanity survives." "That's enough." Lyra's hands shook, but she pressed the button. The Starlance fired. A blue spear of energy pierced space and struck the Heliox flagship directly. It tore through its shields. It cut through its armor. It pierced its heart. On the bridge, Vale stared in disbelief as his ship broke apart around him. Then the Imperial gaze exploded. A chain reaction swept through the Heliox fleet. Without their command ship, their formations collapsed. Their communication grid fell apart. The remaining ships retreated in chaos. Humanity had won, but at a cost. Inside the burning Vigilant Star, Lira crawled across the cracked floor. "Rylan?" She found him slumped against the command chair, barely breathing. He opened his eyes when he heard her voice. "Did we do it?" Lira nodded through tears. "Yes, the Heliox are gone. Humanity is safe." A small, peaceful smile formed on Rylan's face. Then it was worth it. His eyes slowly closed. His heartbeat faded. Lira held his hand as the stars shimmered outside the shattered windows. The surviving humans gathered on Haven. 12 days later, the children of Earth stood together, under a real sky, for the first time in centuries. Humanity had lost much, but humanity had survived. And as the sun rose over the new world, the survivors whispered the oath that would guide all future generations. Never again erased. Never again exiled. Humanity had returned. And this time, they would rise higher than ever before.